what our government did to ordinary citizens. There were people who killed themselves from the targeting that they endured from the federal government. A lot of people lost their businesses, their livelihoods, their marriages, their health, their homes. People lost their reputation. You can't get that back. We were put on terrorist lists. Those terrorist lists are shared internationally. So there's no hope of ever retrieving my name back completely. I'm sure I'm on some blacklist in some other nations at this point. I was put on no-fly list. I couldn't fly. I was targeted. Essentially, I don't know if you read the chapter yet, but boy, is that a good one. The Department of Homeland Security attempted to frame me for narcotics. That was probably the scariest moment of my life.
Yep.
It was more scary than the FBI arrest. I mean,
when
it was
you had that landing,
it was really, you should read the book, everyone, because it's like a page turner. It's like a John Grisham novel. Like, did this really happen? Yeah, I've got, and you saw the proof. I put out the pictures and I put the videos and everything.
It's absolutely stunning. And I don't know if the lawyer that you're talking, the prosecutor, the FBI guy, is the same as the one whose his verdict was overturned by the Supreme Court. And is that, and then he went on.
I think the guy that set up this whole thing on the legal side, there's a lot of people involved, but the guy I think who set up this 20-year charge so that everyone, people who are not touching J6, people who are not touching J6 are probably like, why did everybody take a plea? Well, I'll tell you something. I'm not a person to collapse easily, and I would have fought the trespass, but I wasn't willing to fight a 20-year overcharge in the District of Columbia. No way, no how. I never should have been charged with that. Who dreamt up this irrelevant 20-year charge? It's like so arcane, and it's like this accounting statute, and had Enron and Arthur Anderson, and it's a tax accounting thing. Like, how did this get applied to J6 political protesters? Well, I think it was a fellow named Andrew Weissman, who Sidney Powell talks about in her book. But he was just a terrible, terrible human, a Department of Justice lawyer who he set up this thing, this rule, this 1512C2. Anyway, this whole thing got reversed at the Supreme Court 9-0, which I'm going all this detail because to get reversed by the Supreme Court 9-0 means that's very embarrassing. So that's this guy. So what does this guy do? He goes and becomes an MSNBC reporter who's like, he's got the worst case of Trump derangement syndrome than anyone. And this guy, I think, is the one who dreamt up throwing this 1512C2 20-year felony, which is inapplicable. That felony was reversed at the Supreme Court in the summer of 24. So people who were charged with that felony, it was essentially voided. And a lot of people got out of prison, including John Strand. It was just such an overcharge. So I think Andrew Weissman was at the bottom of this, but there were a lot of people to blame. Matthew Graves he's just a terrible, terrible person. He is the U.S. attorney. I forget what his title was, in charge of this whole mess. And he just was terrible. Jason Manning was just terrible. All I saw, Karen, was a prosecutor's lie. I didn't know the prosecutors lied. I honestly, call me naive. I believe lawyers, they have their own oath. You're an officer of the court if you're a lawyer. That means as a lawyer, you can never lie to the court. You can be silent, right? Like, let's say you know your client is guilty of murder. You don't have to say anything, but you're not allowed to lie to the court. You're called an officer of the court. So your loyalty is to your client, but it's also to the court. I saw U.S. prosecutors lie. And I don't know if you got into that chapter yet, but you wait. You wait until you read that chapter on the U.S. prosecutors, how much they lie.
The whole book is completely stunning. And I knew your story, generally speaking. I knew it as it was developing, and I've seen you speak, and we have spoken, but it will knock people's socks off because it's so egregious, again, in the medical field and then in the judiciary field, areas where we feel we can trust. And as you just said, we can't.